Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So I am recording with my new tripod today, so I'm really hoping things are much more steady. We won't have any falling, and hopefully things are pretty even, but so far it seems so good. So today I wanted to sit down and give you some of my best recommendations for thrillers to read this fall. I did a video like this last year. I'll be sure to link that one below. And so I wanted to try to avoid any of the books I recommended last year. So I decided to go through my Goodreads and take a look at all of the thrillers that I gave either 4 or 5 stars this year. And then I started laughing because I realized that's a lot. So if I pull up my list that I was working on today, I'm pretty sure it comes out to like 24. And as much as I would love to talk about all of them, because I usually think all of them are pretty good, I am going to kind of go through my list here and just list the ones that I think are more either fall fitting or just a good atmosphere to read in the fall versus going through the list of all 24. So let's jump in and see what thrillers I think you should pick up this season. All right, the first one is one that I read recently, and I read this on my Kindle, and I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, because that would be why I picked it up, and that is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. This book is just going to take you for a wild ride. I don't want to say too much about it, but there were so many parts of this book that I just couldn't believe, and it's going to have you guessing. It's a doctor and his wife who's a nurse who kind of take in this child until she can be adopted, and this child clearly has been through a lot of trauma in her life, and yeah, it's a wild ride. So definitely recommend that one. The next one that I also picked up recently, and actually these are kind of going in reverse order of that I read them this year, would be The It Girl by Ruth Ware. It's up there. I'm not gonna pull it down right now, but that one is definitely on a dark academia path that takes place in a fictional school at Oxford. So I had to look it up because I was like, is this really a school in Oxford? It's not, but just a really great setting, 2 different timelines, and kind of all surrounds around a murder. Once again, one of those that I just was wrong in everything that I guessed. So from there, let's see. I think another good one would be One by One by Frida McFadden. I believe this is also on Kindle Unlimited. This one basically takes place within like a day or two, and it's all in the woods, so it's pretty like atmospheric for fall. And if I'm remembering right, it does take place, it's either the spring or the fall. Now I can't remember, but it's like super atmospheric, like in the woods, in a cabin, so things that I think I associate more with like cooler weather. And I think it's in the nature of like an Agatha Christie One by One. Everyone, slowly gets picked off, and you're trying to figure out who's doing it. Another one that I shouldn't say another one that I read this year. All of these are ones I've read this year. Is The Quiet Tenant. And you know what? I know I pronounced this name horribly the last time. The author is French, so I'm just going to put the cover in here and call it good. But this one would be super atmospheric for fall because this woman has basically been stuck in a shack in this guy's backyard because she's been kidnapped. And so you get that sense of like the cold creepiness, and you are getting through some of the fall holidays as well. So really enjoyed that read, and I look forward to, because I think that was a debut by that author, so I look forward to what other things they come out with. Kind of scanning through my list here. And like I said, some of these are going to either be atmospheric for fall, or I just think would be a good fall thriller. And so one that I am sure gets talked about all the time is Keep It in the Family by John Mars. I had only ever read one other book by John Mars before I picked this one up, and I think that was The One, which is a very interesting premise. But this Keep It in the Family is like the ultimate going through the attic and find something creepy. So I think it's just like your perfect like haunting feeling read, and another one that I don't want to say too much about, but was really good, and I think it deserves the high ratings that it gets. One that just came out this year, and something tells me I already have it loaned out. Otherwise it would be over here. And that is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is a perfect like fall, almost Halloween read because the house in itself has like a very strong characteristic and eerie feeling about it. And we are getting the perspective of a woman going in to be a caretaker to an old woman who is basically rumored or thought to have killed her entire family and wants to tell her story now to this new caretaker. And so, like I said, the house is creepy. You feel, it feels haunting. So yeah, I loved it. And I mean, I love Riley Sager, so not surprising. Let's see here. Ooh, one that I think just like had me on the edge of my seat and I read super quickly this year was Ward D by Frida McFadden. Clearly, I've been on a Frida kick this year. It is basically a locked room thriller of a woman who is studying to be a doctor and has to spend time on like the psych ward of the hospital. And yeah, you'll get that eerie like asylum feel. And yeah, it was just a really good read, and I think it would be very fitting for this time of year if those are the kind of books that you're looking to pick up. Like I said, my list was long. Let's see, other things that I think would be fitting for this time of year. Let's see. Ooh, The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Now, I don't think, well, this one actually could have been fall because I think it was the end of the year. We have a woman that's staying in a beach house, and it must be kind of like the end of the season because nobody is around anymore and things just start happening. You get these, like, she basically gives a negative review to an author, and we have to determine whether or not it's that author that's stalking her now. So very atmospheric for this time of year. Ooh, another one. This one I would say is like definitely Halloween related. It is Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier, and it is all based in a theme park. And I know like clowns and dolls are very like, I suppose, atmospheric for Halloween. And this one of our main characters works in like the model doll house on this amusement park. And ooh, it was creepy. And yeah, if you like amusement park murders, which is a very interesting category, I know this one would be right up your alley. I think I listened to the audiobook of that one and it was really good. So, ooh, one that is actually middle grade that I read this year, so I must have read this in March, during middle grade March, was Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. For middle grade, this was actually creepy, and I know a few other people that I follow here on YouTube have also read, I think it's a series of 4, but this first one is actually a fall-based one because it's basically like haunted scarecrows, and then they talk about being in like a corn maze and being lost in the woods. And like I said, for being a middle grade, it's super creepy, and I've heard the same things about the other ones. I know one of them is like an underwater one. I think one of them does have to do with clowns. So for middle grade books, definitely creepy. Let's see. 2 other ones that I would be hard pressed not to talk about, and I don't even care what time of year it is Creep and Freak by Jennifer Hillier, but I have talked my head off about those books this year, but I just had to throw them in here because they're some of my favorites. Another one I read this year, and whether or not I wouldn't consider this one a thriller, but more definitely a fall recommendation, and it's more like dark academia meets psychological, and that's My Dark Vanessa, and that was by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This book is so difficult to talk about because it's basically a relationship between a student and a teacher, but just how crazy and manipulative it was. And so I think it's fitting for this time of year because you're getting that dark academia piece, but it is a very difficult book to read. So I don't think it's for everyone, but it's a tough book to write, but it is written really, really well. And then let's see, just the last couple that I have. Another one more on the dark academia realm of things is The Resemblance by Lauren Nassett. And I think she's actually coming out with another book this year. I'll be talking about that in my November releases. But this one is based on the University of Georgia campus, surrounding around basically kind of like this hit and run story. And so you're getting the academia side of things, but also the murder and like crime investigation side of things. So that one I think is really fitting for fall. And if I remember right, yeah, actually up here, the cover is even very fall. So those are just a few of the thriller slash dark academia slash suspense books that I have read this year that I think would make perfect reads for this fall. Like I said, I will link the video that I did last year recommending some of my favorite fall thrillers below. I just wanted to mention things that I have read this year and maybe not some of the ones that I've always suggested before. So if you have any great fall thriller recommendations, or like I said, any of them that kind of fit into that like spooky haunting genre, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.